here we are so close, yet oftentimes you still wonder, are we going to make it? It's like a marathon runner. In the marathon running, 25, 26 miles, whatever it happens to be. And that last portion of the trip of the marathon is one of the toughest. That's when the body is screaming out. That's when the mind is doubting. That's when there's this interesting, almost overwhelming feeling that you should just stop then and there, even though the finish line is within sight. But you just wonder if you can make it. You doubt if you've done a good job. You even doubt in a delusional way if there even is a finish line. It's kind of the same here. We've come this far. We're coming up to Heaven's Cross. That's kind of our timeline. That's why you're feeling so many of the things you're feeling, the anxiety and the anticipation, the excitement and the doubts. And it's all of these things and feeling fragile at the same time. But we're right on schedule, exactly where we should be right here and right now. In this important turning point, you're going to hit a big wall of doubt. And that's very, very natural. So just take a deep breath of that for a moment and just allow it. It's going to happen. Because the mind is saying, stop everything for a moment. Something really big is happening here. And the mind doesn't really quite understand what it is, but it's saying something incredibly big is happening here. We better stop for a moment. We better throw a little doubt. There's a mental intuition that something very, very big is happening in your life. And do you really want it? And are you really ready for it? So take a moment right now with that feeling of doubt that absolutely comes in. There's nothing wrong with you. There are times of great doubt. Times when you wonder, maybe you should go back to a normal human lifetime, which you can't really. Times when you hold something in your mind, let's say about your mastery, being a master. That sounds nice. And I know sometimes you express this to others. When you're with other Shambhar, you talk about your mastery, but sometimes in your private moments, a lot of times in your private moments, you have a lot of doubts. Am I really doing the right thing? Is this path really sincere and genuine? And even though you know it is, deep in your heart, there's still that doubt. Am I doing the right thing? The doubt is accentuated. The doubt is made even greater. Because the mind, your mind, doesn't want to go crazy. You see, there's a programming kind of in the mind. Goes way back to the Atlantean times, but reinforced now, that says, don't go crazy. Stay in the mind. You've seen crazy people. You've seen them, whether it's in your media or in person. You've seen people maybe even very close to you that are going through some sort of psychological issues. There's a lot of terms that you have for it, bipolar and schizophrenic, and you say, I don't want to be like that. And I'm afraid in all of this, maybe I'm going to go out of my mind and be like them. So you then doubt things and you limit yourself. You hold it in the mind. And what you are ultimately doing is you're limiting energy that's right there and available to you. You're limiting it and you're flattening it. You're making it dead and gray, not living and colorful. Doubt is accentuated, multiplied by about a factor of 8 once you allow yourself to start coming into mastery. You start doubting everything. Are you doing the right thing? Do you want to be here? Are you making the right choices? Doubt leads to impatience. Doubt leads to anxiety. I look at it this way. Doubt is like a stain on the wall. You have this beautiful large wall and there's one little stain on it. And what attracts your attention or what distracts you more than anything is that one stain. You don't even see the rest of the wall now because it's this stain on the wall. And that's what happens right now with everything going on in your life. A little stain, a little doubt. And that's where your attention is focused. That's what your mind thinks about. That's where you place your consciousness into that doubt. So why is doubt there even in the first place? How did it get there? Well, as I said in my quote, when you place sovereignty outside of yourself, that doubt comes rushing in to fill the void. When you place anything outside of yourself, when you think that energy is outside of you, that doubt comes in. In a way, you could say doubt serves a purpose because it's trying to get you to realize that you're in a false state of being. You're not being true to yourself. But then you get so tangled up in your doubt that you forget, now it's time to be true. Doubt comes in many different ways. Mass consciousness in itself, that cloud of mass consciousness on this planet, is filled with a lot of doubt, and you feel into it, you tap into it, you even own it, if not all of it, at least part of it. Doubt comes in from some of your own past experiences, past lives where you've judged yourself, this lifetime where you judge yourself extensively. Doubt is here right now, and it's the stain on the wall. Ignore it. Let yourself feel the entire wall. It's like that spider bite. It's there. Go through it, ignore it. It's not going to kill you. It'll heal. But what happens so often right now is that so much emphasis is placed on that doubt. And then you battle with doubt, and it grows. It grows, it gets bigger. It's like feeding it. You try to figure it out, and it grows even larger. And then you get depressed or sad and wonder why all this doubt is there. It's just the ego, the human self, the doubt aspect making its last hurrah. The doubt comes in very big right now because it's also saying, is this all a bunch of, what would you say, macchio, horse crap, bullshit? Is it all just made up? Am I so delusional? And I know this because I see it in a lot of you. Am I so delusional that I'm making this all up, or I'm going along with this group and they're all making it up? Am I so unhappy with life that I have to have this huge distraction? Here we are talking about mastery, and we're talking about energy serving you. We're talking about staying on the planet to be this bringer of radiance. As some of the people around you might have told you, maybe you're making something up. Maybe you've been through so much in life, they might tell you, your bad childhood, your bad relationships, your bad jobs, bosses, spouses, everything else. Maybe you're just a little delusional and you have to make this up. That's kind of interesting because it's big doubt. It goes into your mind. You think about, you can actually hear their words and kind of maybe feel their pity a bit. And you wonder, am I making this up? Is this just the makings of a delusional mind? This is big time doubt. I mean, this is deep mental doubt, deep state doubt, because it involves all the aspects and all the characters that are actually you, that are actually within you. When you come to that point of doubt, stop for a moment and don't let doubt scare you. You let doubt scare you. Actually, you can use doubt as a beautiful tool in your life. So you take that doubt that comes about and you really use it to take a look and to say, okay, do I want to go back into that life, that world that I came from? Do I want to slow down? Do I want to kind of block all this stuff, about spirituality and ascension and embodiment and all the rest of that? And you really feel into it, and I already know the answer. And for all of you, it's no, you don't want that. But yet the doubt is kind of like shackles on your arms and legs. It's holding you back. Creates an interesting experience, but Let's move beyond that right now. And I can tell you one thing, that whichever reality you choose, it is real. There is no made up. There is no fairyland. Fantasy is not an unreality. It is a reality. It's just beyond a lot of human definition or experience. For Kathy and many others who cross over, there's such a huge relief. They don't feel like their head is stuffed with cotton balls and newspaper anymore. They're immediately met by myself. That's one of my appointed tasks that I love doing, greeting them when they come over. And one of the immediate reactions that they express is, I always knew this was the way when I was back on Earth, but there's so many things that got in the way. I had doubts. Why did you let me doubt? And they look me straight in the eyes. Why did you let me doubt Adamus? And I'm like, hey, I didn't. I tried to tell you, go within yourself, find out what's real. And a lot of you have done that, but a lot of times there's, if I just hadn't spent so much time worrying and doubting and just gotten on with what I'm going to do. Well, that's about the point also. Now, anyways, I sit down with them and we start talking about the whole effects of mass consciousness and the coming up of Heaven's Cross. Tobias is chiming in. He wants to remind you, as we really go into these next few months, remind you and underline it a lot. You are not crazy. You are not crazy, and you haven't been crazy. Not whatsoever. You've allowed your intuition, your knowingness to get you this far. And it's been tough at times, the battles you've had with your doubts, such an awful thing. But now as you let that go, as you come to understand, you've never been crazy. Maybe other people thought you were. Maybe you judged yourself as that because it wasn't logical, but in Heaven's Cross you realize it doesn't have to be logical at all. You follow what you call your heart, you follow your knowingness. And it's excruciating. Maybe it can be really tough, but once you do it, you go, why did I ever doubt? I'm not crazy. I was crazy to stay back there. And that's what Heaven's Cross is challenging you, every one of you right now. Not intentionally. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but it's there. Do you want it or not? It's accessible, but you gulp and say, I'm not sure if I can handle it. Or maybe I'm crazy. No. I'm going to be pushing every one of you, nicely, of course, in my own charming way. Let's get on with stuff here now, okay? Mm-hmm. So you take all this doubt right now. You bring in the master who loves to bring things to its wisdom. You even bring the doubt to wisdom. And please don't try to deny doubt. We're not trying to put it under the rug. We're not trying to hide it in the cellar. We're allowing the doubt right now, but we're understanding the beauty that it can actually be. And then suddenly, not even working at it, you'll realize that the doubt starts dissolving away. It doesn't all go in one day, but gently, slowly, the mind starts letting go of the doubt. The mind understands that you, the soul being, are the one that's leading the way. The mind comes into compliance, comes into harmony with you. You don't have to work at it. The doubt literally starts dissolving away. You don't and you can't, like from your mind, say, I'm not going to doubt anymore. But you wake up one morning, you realize that you haven't had these severe pangs or attacks of doubt in a while. They're just not that big anymore. And pretty soon, they're almost all gone. You'll still hold on to a little bit of doubt for a while yet. You put it in your back pocket just in case you need to double check yourself. The doubt is slowly dissolving away. The doubt is slowly going away. You don't even need to push it away. It's just going away. Little by little, morning by morning, when you wake up, the realization that there's less doubt, less of that awful feeling that tends to really inhibit you on this journey. So take a deep breath into that fog of doubt, slowly lifting and bringing tremendous clarity into your life. The doubts come in. Don't fight them. Don't get overwhelmed by them either. Literally, you can take the doubt that will come up and just feel into the energy of that doubt. Just go right into it. Without fear, go right into it. It's an energy that affects the consciousness, of course, but it's the brain. It's an energy. Go right into it because it is just energy. And it will serve you, and it can serve you in a different way other than doubt. It could convert it right away into knowingness. Instead of doubt, knowingness in your life. Let's take all the doubts you have. Doubts about your own realization. Will it ever happen? Well, of course it's going to happen and has to. It's almost silly that you'd even ask the question, is it going to happen? But you doubt it. Let's take that. Let's take that doubt about, are you strong enough to handle this? Let's take that also. The doubt about yourself being worthy. Are you worthy for this? Maybe you've met, maybe you know, or you've read about other humans and you think they're far more ready for enlightenment than you are. Then you have a big doubt then. You doubt if I'm really even talking to you sometimes when I'm addressing Shambhala. Well, he's probably not talking about me because he talks about this small group on earth here to bring consciousness at this all-important time. Do you even doubt that? What kind of doubt begets more doubt? You doubt yourself on one thing and then you start doubting yourself on everything. Let's take all that doubt. Let's go right through it. Feel into it. Don't resist it. Don't try to figure it out. Let's go right into doubt. Listen to doubt. Listen to it. Feel into it. It's your energy. It's not from the outside. It's your energy. Or let me say better, it's your interpretation, your perspective of your energy. Listen to it. Because you see, all energy is just communication, song of the soul. And what is it saying to you? What is this doubt really saying to you? It's saying, don't stop. Don't stop. Don't settle for anything less than the true you. Don't stop. It's almost kind of like a monster. It's there to say, I'm not going to let you just settle in along the path right now, like many others have done, or get distracted or fall back. It's like a monster saying, keep going. I'm going to scare the hell out of you. Let doubt serve you rather than frighten you. Let doubt keep you moving along. It's not a bad energy. No, not at all. It's there to serve you, like everything is. It's there to serve you. As you feel into doubt, remember also that it was a placeholder. It filled the void. When you put sovereignty outside of yourself, it filled the void. It was only a placeholder. It's not the true you. Let that doubt serve you. Coming to your own sovereignty, recognizing that all the energy is yours, recognizing that you placed it there so you wouldn't get any more immersed into something that's unnatural. The doubt is an irritant. It's like the poop in the lawn, the stain on the wall. Take a deep breath and let it serve you. That might feel a little strange doing because you spent so long trying not to have doubt and overcoming doubt because you didn't stop to say, oh, this doubt, it's here to serve me.